Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4, Sean. Yeah, of the Let's Face It podcast. Hope you are all keeping well and had a nice week. Today we're joined by the man behind the camera, Mr. Sean Mcdonnell.
How's it going?
What's the crack?
I'm doing well.
Happy enough?
Yeah, I'm raging after Antrim result, but
yeah, Antrim get beat there by Kilkenny, but suppose this will be out for we'd have just played Dublin today actually by the time this comes out, so hopefully we can put a few things right.
Yeah, and then big match against Laois as well.
So we're Dublin, or sorry, we were Kilkenny today, Dublin then today, and then Laois
following week.
No, sorry, and then a week break,
and then Laois,
and then Waterford, and then Laois, and then Tipperary. So we'll have Laois and Tipperary at home, but. No, I'm happy enough. I was out running for the first time today.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. So that's me, all systems go. I can hopefully get back in on the team soon.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah, it's been a long...
Yeah.
Hasn't it?
And you'll get out and hopefully things go sweet for you.
Because I think it's... I think you learn a lot, Sean, whenever you're... Like, you've been with me throughout this whole process of recovery and fucking the weight and the up and the down and different things like that, so it's good to see a wee bit of light. I'm feeling a lot better about myself, like.
Happy days.
So, how are you?
I'm doing great.
I think like I always talk about you on these podcasts and be like, Sean, and you come in one day and be like, Sean, fuck, or Donnell, you're making me out to be class here, but you are. And the amount that you've done for me over the last 8 months, we only started this 8 months ago. I thought it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Which is mental.
But it's one of those weird things. Time has flown because it's been great, but just feels like it's so established. You know, you go to yourself, feels like it's been a longer process. You know,
and it's class because I actually wanted to. Oh, I forgot to say at the start, we launched our Patreon this week. Which is another exciting time. We're going to be having bonus episodes every week. We're going to have bits and pieces of educational tips around well-being. We'll have guest speakers on for the Patreons and sort of go into creating a community within the community that we've already sort of created in the last 8 months, which has been brilliant. So we started a Patreon. Sean will put the link here below and pay what you want. So... Someone said this to me last week. If you want to buy me a coffee, sign up to Patreon. So that's the equivalent of the coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
And to be fair, just to be totally honest, like these things, like they can't see the lights and the mics and everything that goes on in the background in here, but it costs money. Offices cost, things like that. So it's important too to keep the show on the road to get an extra few quid coming on.
And not just to keep it afloat, but to let it progress.
Absolutely.
And go on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely, so because
support would be really appreciated.
Oh, would be sure, because there's a whole project going on behind the scenes too. But let's face it, in terms of with different phases, which I don't mind actually just talking about now, because the meetings and all and the wheels are in motion in terms of setting up a wellness centre, right here, in West Belfast, for people who are getting it tight, so they can come in and create that sort of safe place in that community, and then there'll be another side of it too, where there'll be a wee coffee shop and stuff like that, so people can come in and network with each other, and we're going to have like infrared saunas and sort of cold water therapy and stuff like that. So it's exciting. So obviously that costs money too, so we're just trying to keep the wheels in motion, and it'll enable me to sort of have a wee bit more time to focus on let's face it, rather
that's
than
fantastic.
run about like a lunatic.
And it's great that if things are moving forward.
It's class.
So
some progression. No fair. It's a team effort, and I'm all about the team, Sean. So even like yourself and Terry and our Colleen and stuff like that, and different people helping out, it's great. And the family and friends and everyone who listens every week and everyone who's going to sign up to Patreon tonight. But what's happening to you?
I'm getting ready here. I'm away tomorrow night. With the band.
Across the water.
Playing a few venues in England and Scotland. So.
And your search party?
Search party, yes, it's with.
And this is mad too, because Sean is like, if you think you're busy, I used to think I was busy until I met you. I was like, so you do this podcast, Mudblood,
Whiskey and White, Cork in the North.
So that's Mudblood's Paddy McDonnell and William Thompson. The Whiskey and White's Tyrone and Tommy,
yeah.
and then Andrew Ryan for the Cork in the North.
Uh-huh.
How do you fit it all in? And then you have your own band, Search Party. You're the lead in it.
I'm the singer. And then I play in another band called
Right.
So that's more like, playing the bars and stuff, and smaller wee shows. But
yeah,
I do that at the weekends. And then I've another job on top of that as well. I run a radio station for young people,
which is class. I love that you do that too. But there has to become, and we talk every week. You sit in that seat and we talk about wellness and taking time to yourself and self-care and stuff like that. And it's something that we actually spend a lot of time talking about. Like was it last Sunday or last Monday? We were sitting in here talking, and I was just open and honest with you in terms of where I was at with my time, and like the exchange of energy between working 40 hours a week in the rehab centre, probably putting about 20-30 hours a week into this. Like, so you're working
crazy
60 hours, 60, 70 hours sometimes, and like on top of trying to get back and playing for Antrim, and that balance. And like we talked about it, and it was like I actually went and took action on that then. And so this is my first. Sorry, this will be actually my second full week out my own, like self-employed. So,
okay, for me, like I have to admit, at the minute, health isn't really my priority, and that's not a great thing to admit, but it's just true.
Yeah.
And sort of career and business and stuff is sort of the priority for the next while, and it's hard to sort of pick a time to go when will you switch back, but I sort of have a plan, and I sort of want over the next 6 months here to sort of start letting things go and starting to make more time for myself, and I'm focusing on the right things.
And then the other side, like you're getting married in a couple of months too, so you have to be putting in the graft and
well, that's it. Yeah, I think everybody sort of just ups their game a wee bit when the wedding's coming up, because it's not cheap. Like,
no,
it's definitely not cheap. So like,
I can imagine.
That's another thing. I mean, where it's not a big flashy wedding, but it still costs money, and so it's just a case of like getting it all sorted, making sure we're covered in all bases there.
But obviously there's a lot going on too. But here, I actually wanted to ask you, how did you get into this? As in the podcast, and were you always quite tacky growing up?
Yeah, I had loads of interest growing up, but one of them started with, my mummy always had like loads of records in the house, because she used to DJ in the DC. Like in the 70s.
Your man was a DJ in the DC.
So
that's where Paddy gets his madness from.
Always loads of records about the house, and also like and loads of wee like speakers and all, and so I love putting stuff together. And then when I started playing music, I only started playing music because I broke both my legs, like at different times, but very close to the guitar. So like I was out, a couple
the
months.
back of the DC, or
no, thankfully not. No, playing Gaelic, God's sake, and so I was out for a couple months at a time. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't go out with my mates or nothing, and so had a load of time to myself. Learned how to play guitar and all, and then when I learned how to play guitar, I was like, right, I want to learn how to record myself and how to. So I started learning all that stuff, and started for birthday and Christmas and stuff was asking for microphones and things like that. So it was just a progression from there, and that's what I wanted to go into, like doing sound engineering. I wanted to be like the guy sitting on the other side of a microphone in a studio, and I done my work experience doing that and stuff, and that's what I wanted to go and study in uni. But I realized it didn't necessarily need uni to do that. It was more so like experience. So I decided not to go, and there was only one course like here that sort of covered that wasn't like just a normal music degree or whatever. And I didn't get into it. So I was like, I'm not gonna go and just study whatever.
Yeah.
I know what I want to do, and it was a big setback, like, but I ended up going out working with my dad on the roofs. And I was a big kick up the arse just to be like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to be doing this. So I may find a way to do this other thing a bit better. And I just got lucky because there was a job going in Radio Falcha for a broadcast assistant. Like, and it needed somebody who was quite tacky,
Right.
but also knew how to speak Irish. And I think that somebody who like knew how to work like audio equipment and stuff and spoke Irish, and I think that came down to me and one other person, like
In the whole world.
In the whole world. So it was. I think I was the only one that turned up for the interviews. Still shit myself, but got the job, and I was real lucky to like get that, and I love working there for a couple of years, and ended up just doing broadcasting and radio stuff, and the other thing, I needed radio experience, and I just so happened to like start up this wee podcast on an online radio station called Belfast Underground. It had only started, and it was all DJs,
Right.
so it was all like techno most of the day, and then for like 2 hours it was just me like playing tunes of like my mates' bands. And because I had done that, I had radio experience, so that got me into a job as well. And I started learning more about radio, even though it wasn't like just all tacky stuff. I was learning those skills too, and that meant I was able to go on and get another job sort of teaching young people how to run a radio station and how to, you know, operate equipment and how to broadcast and speak properly on the mic. And I've been doing that 5 years. And off the side of that, I've just sort of been doing freelance work, doing the sound engineering, gigging. And I think that's the thing with music, with sound and stuff like that. You can't like have your head set on one particular aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough work to go about.
Yeah.
When you're only starting out, to only have one string to your bow. I mean, at one stage, I ran a magazine. No, like making like
Forbes or
it was called Treason. We ran a magazine that just try and promote like local music and local bands and stuff, doing interviews with them and reviewing things and stuff. One stage I had a promotions company on the go, like putting on gigs and stuff. I ran a rehearsal room for a bit, and so you just had to keep trying loads of different wee things and see what sticks. And while that was all going on, I always had like a job going on in the background. And what started all this like the video podcast stuff was Patrick wanted to start up his own podcast because he got a bit of joy being on Shane Todd's, you know, a couple of the clips.
So just for context,
Patrick is my brother, Paddy Mcdonnell.
Yeah.
And he said to me, here, I want to set up my own podcast. What do I need for it? And I sent him a list on Amazon. It's just like, get all this here stuff. If you need hand setting it up, give me a shout. I'll come up. And like a couple of weeks went by, and he never said nothing. Then he sent me it and was like, here, we'll just set it up ourselves. Let me know what you think of it. And I put it on, and then they didn't even have the audio recording out of the mics. I could tell it was like the audio off the laptop, because you would hear every now and again, doo-doo-doom, you know, like the way like, wee updates coming through, you know, and emails coming in, and they were recording it off William's phone, you know, for the video and stuff. And I went, right. I says, I told you to let me know when you were doing it. I says, when are you doing it again? And I went up the next time and helped them set it up. and I was trying to show them what I was doing, and they were just looking at me with a blank face, and I says, I'll just do it for you. And even though I was busy, but I was like, I'll just make time every week, and some weeks we weren't getting it done, but my blood just blew up very quickly.
Was that over lockdown?
Over lockdown, so like it was the start of 2021, so it was like the start of the second lockdown.
Yeah, I remember it because you used to do it in Paddy's back or at the shed or something.
And he had built a shed with the intention of like building a studio.
That's
and after
right.
a couple of weeks, it was just all his tools and all. So
I actually remember that because he used to come in the Home Fit when I worked in Home Fit. And he's like, I'm building a podcast studio. You want to come on the podcast? There's a guy, Paddy, like no sweat. But that's class.
Yeah, it just that really just blew up over the next coming months. You know, it just got more and more popular. And towards the end of the year, we were doing it out of his back or my kitchen, or trying to like sneak into his work or something to film it when everybody had left, and we just didn't have nowhere to do it, and we started looking out for places to put it, and I ended up opening the wee space around the corner. And when I done that, he says somebody else was asking me, like, you know, this is who do I know, like, who makes our podcast? I want to start making one. That was Andrew Ryan, and then I went and met him, and because Andrew came in, I was just sort of getting my blood to cover the cost of what like the space would be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like we weren't making any money from it. Any money it was coming in was covering
the bills
for it, and then because Andrew came in and stuff, it meant that we were covering the bills, but then also making like a few quid from it. And then you come on the podcast and like. And
I come on one of Paddy's Patreons, didn't
one
I?
of the Patreon episodes, and then we got talking, set up this one, and then same thing happened with Tommy McCarthy, you know, starting to do the comedy and all, like he wanted to do one, so now it's like its own wee business, and, and it was just it started just from wanting to help Patrick out, you know, and it has done a load of good, so for William and Patrick too, because you know, in terms of when they started it, they only started it because they wanted to sell a show of them two doing a live podcast.
Right, okay.
So they already had the show booked.
I love that. They manifested it.
But they were like, we need to make a podcast to do this show and have a brand behind it. So, and it struggled to sell.
Really?
And it was only in the limelight. And it like took a good 8 months or so, I think, for it to sell out.
Right.
In the end. And if you look now, I mean, if they put up that they're doing a live podcast anywhere, it'll go like that, you know. So it's just one of those things. It's a great the way people are consuming podcasts and stuff now, it's just an amazing way to build up a fan base and keep in touch with, you know, the people that follow you and build up more of a following.
No, definitely, and I agree with you. And it's that community that they have created, and I suppose we've all created our own different wee communities. I suppose the other 3 podcasts are around comedy, but even at that, it's good. It's good that people feel like I talked to Paddy a few times about this. Even like people who are struggling would even stick on his podcast or whatever, and they get a laugh, and then because there's all different ways of fucking switching off and self care and stuff like that. So that's important too. Like.
Exactly. As you said, even though it's a comedy podcast, like it'll help people who just need a bit of escapism, a bit of like to get away from what's going on at the minute and just have a laugh. The same way, you know, people will come on here looking for advice, looking for like guidance, and I'll end up having a laugh. You know? So that's the good thing about podcasts too. That's different, I find, from radio. It's an evolution of radio, where radio is like you go in with a purpose and like it doesn't really stray apart from that. And a radio show is one thing, whereas a podcast, you can change up what the whole brand is in a minute. We were talking that let's face it, was initially my journey with, and
Yeah.
or this is my journey. Like,
Yes, that's right.
so
Yeah.
it was just all people explaining what their road to success has been.
Yeah.
But now it's, talking about, you can talk about topics, you can talk about specific events, you can just do a check-in with people. So it doesn't have to be just one thing, and it's up to you that change. And it's and not every episode has to be serious, not every episode has to be, one type of thing.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. It's
Yeah.
to be able to do that. And like, my whole purpose, and this, is to show people that instead of telling,
Yeah.
even though we're sitting on a podcast every week, but to show people that this is how we can all have a better quality of life, and no matter what we're going through, we all have the ability to bounce back. But sometimes that is changing things up. Like that the other week with Gareth Fox was something like I've never had as much probably feedback from a podcast. I don't
Really?
think. No.
What was some of the things people
Well,
were saying?
at the Antrim match today, and I know he's probably listening, my number one fan, we had him in, Sambo McNaughton,
Yeah.
and he come up to me at the match. I was starting queuing for a coffee, and he come up and stared into my eyes and was like, Donnell, I love you. After myself and Gareth doing the eye gazing and stuff like that. So listen, it's getting people talking, and that's the main thing, and that's the main objective, and it is cool. Like, but maybe just focusing on the topics, and then with the Patreon coming into it, it'll be class, because we are going to do like mini seminars and stuff with different people who are all in the sort of self-development. So that's kind of cool too. How good is it watching? The irony of this question, but because I used to call my podcast, this is my journey with, but watching people's journeys, as in, like, you started. Like, obviously, Paddy's been a comedian for a long time, but he's probably only really hit the scene properly, like, as in a big name that over probably from lockdown. William, even Andrew Ryan, seeing Tommy and Tyrone starting sort of new careers.
Yeah.
How do you like watching their journey? Because we spoke about this last week, because you're on your journey too, as in, like, the people have just heard there in terms of like the amount of hours you work, the amount of graft that you put in. You're on your own journey too, so we're all kind of,
I think when you see
harvesting or something,
when
it's
you
weird.
see somebody going through something like that, you know them, you sort of, like, you join on board and you're watching them and you want them to succeed. I mean, even with me, I hear people in work, like when I come in to say, like, when we do like we feedback sessions or like talking about things, say, I love hearing you talk about what you've got going on or what you're doing, and like seeing things just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And I go, you wouldn't even think that anybody outside of like the circle of what is going on outside work even cares. But it shows that people do, they are checking in and going, like,
invested in you, really.
Yeah. And that's what it feels like for me as well, because every time I take somebody else new into my life, it's like you've got another football team to support. And it when I was younger, it was like I got into the hockey in America, like a wee bit.
Really?
When I was younger.
Ice hockey.
So like I would go on Google and check and see how the Anaheim Ducks were doing. Every week.
Yeah.
And like I have no connection to them, but I just decided that I'm gonna follow, and hopefully like they do something good, because I'm just deciding that I want them to succeed. So it's like, instead of things like that, now I've got, I have to check a Liverpool result every week, but then I've also to check the Mudblood result, the Let's Face It result, the Andrew Ryan result, and the West Ham White result. And what that is me going on and like looking at the YouTube and seeing how many people have tuned in this week, going like, geez, that's good numbers. Like, people are enjoying that. Like, people are giving good feedback. Like, I'm checking to see if somebody's slobbering about the audio or the video, which thankfully doesn't really happen a lot. But, or if people are just like, it's a wee bit like checking the Instagram, comments as well. Sometimes in that you're hoping that there's nothing negative there, or that, and sometimes there is, but it's been, I don't know, you just sort of want to be aware of it all the time.
And do you take that home with you, like? I know you're sitting in the house checking it, but as in, like, would that affect if you seen a bad message about audio or about something like that,
even if it's something about
them.
I
So
take
someone
it-
slabbering about Paddy or William, you take that on board too.
yeah, and
But this is why, and we spoke about this, Sean. This is why you're getting all these podcasts.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because you forget about money. Like, forget about how much it costs to put these things on board. It's the person. And my first day in sales, someone said to me, Donnell, people can buy this product anywhere. The reason why they're going to buy it is because of you.
yeah,
People buy off people.
yeah.
And it's like, I haven't a clue how to do all this, or I haven't a clue what way. To be totally honest, I don't even know if you're good at it or bad at it. so, but it's the person.
Calm away through it.
So, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's the person, but it's you,
Yeah.
and you're invested in what we're trying to do and grow and develop, and that's probably my favorite thing about you. The very fact
Thank
that
you.
you care.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who can come in and just fuck. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think even because it's like, I've been doing it for a bit now, but I am still aware that like, I'm not a big company.
Yeah.
And I think if you go to a production company that does this sort of thing,
1620 audio.
but if you go to a big established production company, a video production company, they'll probably have bigger and better cameras. They'll probably go, right, they'll probably not say, I'm going to take all my stuff down and bring it in and set it up in your place every week. They'll probably just go, here's a quote, I'm going to like buy another setup for you to put in your office. Like, and it's probably going to be like, it's probably going to be dear, but they would probably do a really good job. And they would like, and would turn up and do it. But it's like, and I'm aware that people can't, like, they have more resources available to me. But it's like, you know, as you said, it's saying like, I'm gonna put the graft in. I'm gonna like, and I'm gonna be flexible with you, and like, and you know, be like a friend.
Yeah.
And like, and treat the guests well, and go over and above for things. You know, as you said, it's just like showing that people investing in you.
Absolutely, and everything else, because, and I said this the other week too, like, I love the fact that you're on your journey with the same age, I'm on my journey, like, and we're both trying to grow businesses and develop, and I just think the bigger this gets, the bigger all these podcasts get, you're going to grow with that, and then before we know it, we do have a big production company.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're with people who genuinely invested in you, have been with you from day one, and I have that vision for you, like, and I think it's class, and I'm sure you have that vision for yourself too, like, which is unreal. But even like, you've seen some interesting guests in your Jesus, I was just thinking there, going, like, between all the podcasts, you've met some people, haven't you, in the last couple of years, like?
Big time. I mean, I've from the world of like boxing, you've got like Jamie Conlon, Mick Conlon, Sean McComb, well, Tommy and Tyrone, obviously, but I mean, in terms of guests, like Paddy Barnes,
He was in,
Paddy McCrory was in here, Paddy Barnes was in here too,
so was Mick,
and Mick, then
Kevin Ajarko was in here, wasn't he?
Kevin Ajarko,
Who?
Like loads of people. You've got the likes of
Tim McGarry.
Yeah. I don't know why. I was going like big guess, and like first name that came into my head, Connor Burns. And I was like, I'm not gonna. But
that whole episode with Connor Burns and everything was just complete meta, wasn't it? Like, I didn't get involved in any of that. Like, to be fair, I don't
but
get involved in it. But I know what you mean.
But Connor's a good lad anyway. Then Tim McGarry. Recently, Jamie Nesbitt there.
I've seen that.
And I'm going blank a wee bit, but it is great that, you know,
Colin Murphy.
Yeah, Colin Murphy is very recent too on Mudblood.
Yeah.
Even Packy Lee from Peaky Blinders.
Right. He was interesting, yeah.
And you find it like all these people, they're just it really. I haven't thought twice about most of it. Like, I don't really think about the guests quite a bit because it really just humanizes people when you just come in contact with people like that every week.
Yeah.
You just realize that they're
Like
doing their job.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that I've learned, Sean, through the last 8 months here. Like, even some of the guests that I've had on have been, some of them have been a big enough caliber, like, massive actually, and just reaching out to them and treating them like normal people, because I said it loads of times. I said nearly every week on the podcast about us putting people on pedestals, that we need to stop it, like, because people don't want to be put in pedestals. They want to be, do you know, unless they're
exactly
a D1CK.
Yeah,
but most people aren't.
But that doesn't mean you don't treat people like that with respect.
Of course,
obviously respect.
There's boundaries,
in terms of, like, you know, if it is someone you really respect and you respect something that they do, show them that.
Yeah.
But don't, like, I don't know what way to phrase it, but don't put yourself below them. Yeah. But, you know, if you do respect them and you want to show them respect, then make sure you've, like, asked them if they want a cup of tea before they come in the studio, and like, ask them about them, or like how they're getting on, and don't just, like,
use
ask
them for
them
likes.
for things. Yeah, like, don't go, here, would you do a shout out for blah blah, and don't ask them, you know, show them respect in the way it would show anyone else respect.
And I agree with you, because a lot of people, and I think that's why we've probably got on with so many guests, is because we don't, it's not tick, do you know what I mean? We sit down, we have a conversation, and after that, there's
I know you were crossing the boundary there with an Kelly last week.
Well, for the Patreon,
poor Ned came in
for looking at a charger,
and she ended up having to do a half an hour
Patreon episode. But it was for you, so listen.
But Ned's
great girl,
brilliant. In terms of you know, helping with what's going on here and stuff. So, and that's what I mean. Like, it was more like, it wasn't like you were torturing like somebody you didn't know.
Yeah.
It was like you were going to your mate, come on, like, you know what I mean? And it's because you get on with them, and because you've showed respect in it before, and just invested, and let's face it.
Yeah, and back to what we said at the start about, it's people buying, or not that long ago, but people buying off the people. It's the the amount of connections and friendships that I have got through my guests has been fucking incredible. Like,
they like you, but they also, like, people want things too.
Yeah. And
people see potential in you, or see a potential for you helping them.
Yeah.
And there's no harm in that, and there's no harm in realizing that. Because as much as people want to help you for you, and just like who you are, they go, there's obviously something about you that they say, this person can help me in my journey too. And realizing that also gives you a lot of self-worth.
Yeah.
Because
I've never thought about it, but
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about, you know, people who are helping you, and you think to yourself, then there must be something about me that people think they can get from me. So it must be a good proposition. You know what I mean?
But it's true, because Sean, I spent my whole life, right up until I went to rehab, with my self-worth being minus, even though I was kind of doing good things and in terms of sport anyway.
Yeah.
And I think now that I've talked about it before too, about your vibe attracting your tribe.
Yeah.
And the people who we surround ourselves with has a lot to do with where we're going to go in the future, like, and surround yourself with good people. It's so true. And I never, even with the self-worth, and like, I've just surrounded myself with these people now, as in some of the guests or some of my fucking best friends now over the last year, and it's been class, and we keep in touch and have the laugh and the crack, and And that's the most important part, and we said it there about having the crack, and it is, like, this stuff is to be embraced. The changing our quality of life, or having a better quality of life, is to have a better quality of life and have a bit of crack too along the way. And I love that. I love the whole process of it. It's cool, like.
And that's another reason why I'm able to keep pushing myself to work so hard.
Yeah.
Is because everything I'm doing, I'm quite motivated to do it.
Yeah.
And the minute something stops motivating me, that's the thing that I look to sort of cut out from my life. And whether it's something that is successful or not isn't really, important. It's whether you get up and you think this is what I want to do, and you're pushed towards doing it. So that's why it's like we're going over to England and Scotland here, and it's it's really 50-50 whether any of those gigs end up doing much good for you.
Yep.
But the fact that you go over and like you meet like-minded people in other bands who like we always go over and we're quite good crack as a band anyway, and like it's sort of like just a wee night out.
Yeah.
But you're just playing music and you meet these people, and I think we attract people that go, oh, we're going to have a bit of crack with them too. You meet brilliant people who maybe come over and you meet them in here, and you're getting to know their fan base. Their fan base maybe comes on board with you, and it's just it's fun. It's a great night, and whether or not it's successful or not, it doesn't matter, because you've just had a bit of crack with your four mates.
Yeah.
So it's a big reason why the music, keeps me pushing forward. A lot of people I think would have been disheartened by a stage, but like doing so much gigs, and some go well, some don't. And it's looking past the bad ones.
Yeah.
Because you think to yourself, did we enjoy it tonight? Like, are we getting better? Like, I don't know.
Is it lighting you up?
Yeah.
Basically. And it's so true, because if we focused and took the magnifying glass out and focused on fucking everything that's going wrong, then we are going to become negative. Like, and that's something that I've had to work on a lot. Yeah. As in, like, you could sit here all day and pick out different things about this podcast and about different things that you want more and you want, but whenever you strip it all back and you go, well, there's at least one every week, and that one person might need to hear this. That one person, you might have lit someone else up in that fucking whatever, the dance floor or in the arena or whatever, and that's the way I approach it now. There's one person here that needs this.
I mean, that happened to me, and I was showing that really early with the music, because we used to play where my studio is, around the corner in Blackstaff Mill.
You told me a story.
Yeah, there used to be like illegal gigs. They used to have it upstairs, and
illegal,
legal, completely over the board. But a lot of wee space around there, and there would be hundreds at it, and we shouldn't have been. Some of the stuff that was happening shouldn't have been happening in terms of like young people drinking and stuff, but we were all like, we're all having a bit of crack.
It's part of growing up, Sean.
Yeah, and
we'll leave it at that.
we used to play those gigs, and I would see people like really turn out for us, and like people our age, and we were only 16, 17 at the time, and loads of the ones that came up to me afterwards, I was like, great gig, whatever. They would go at me on Facebook. I would see them the next like couple of weeks putting up a post saying I've started a new band, blah, blah, and you go like, they were at the gig a couple of weeks ago, So
it's the ripple effect.
And you go, me playing that, like people are going, I could do that. So that immediately makes you think somebody finds me useful. Somebody found what I done to be worthwhile.
Would you be a confident person?
I think so now. I definitely wasn't.
What way were you?
When I was younger, definitely didn't carry myself in a confident way. I think I'm still quite quiet, quite shy, but I'm very confident now in my ability.
Yes.
I just feel like I know that I can always work things out, and I can always get better, and I can always, if I want to do something, I'll make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm resilient in a way that I face quite a bit of setbacks.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the more setbacks that you've faced, the more resilient you've become?
Yeah, absolutely, because it gives you the experience, and it gives you the sort of prior knowledge that this has went wrong before, but I knew that I just stuck at it, and I got right again. And even if I couldn't keep going with that thing, I started something else, and another door opened, and that thing was even better. I thought when I was 11 I was going to be playing for Celtic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what every 11-year-old's plan is. I wanted to be playing for Antrim. I wanted to be playing for Celtic, and my legs just told me nah. And also the football ability also told me nah.
Forgot that you had to be a good footballer.
Yeah. And then that opened the door to playing guitar, and that was a whole new interest, and then also my music teachers told me nah, but then it was like it was just right, okay, well, let's keep at this, and then other people said yeah, so I kept going.
It's amazing. And Henry Shefflin I think it's Henry Shefflin's book. He made 10 runs, didn't get the ball, but he still made the 11th, and he got the ball in the 11th run for the ball, and that's so, no matter how many times we'll get fucking knocked back, because listen, it happens all the time, and it happens even excuse me, even now that you're sort of semi-self-employed, I'm now fully self-employed, we're going to get knocked back.
Don't tell a tax man that.
That's another thing that I love. I love that we don't do edits. Edits don't really come into our podcast, and I love that, because one of my big values or core beliefs is vulnerability and being authentic.
You heard Gareth there the other week talking about how endearing you come across to someone when you show a bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
So if someone's able to watch you fluff your lines, so to speak, on this, and stick with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna be twice as invested.
Absolutely.
And most of it, I think everybody, when they start out a podcast, they go right, cut, and I found that with everybody that I've done these for, and even the kids down in the radio station too. It reminds me of so many of the kids in the radio station, because it's just been a moment for me just to reflect, just to be how many journeys I've seen there too.
Yeah.
Because you see young ones come in, and they don't really have an interest in radio per se, but they have an interest in something, and whether it's the Irish language, whether it's politics, whether it's music or history or whatever, they come in with that interest, and they want to tell people about it.
Yeah. And
some of them have real issues with confidence and self-worth as well, I'd say, and an anxiety. And when they start, it maybe takes you 4 weeks to get a podcast out of them, because they do it bit by bit.
Yeah.
They're so nervous they can't speak. They constantly need to cut things out, and they're not happy about how they sound. And then a couple of months down the line, you see them, and they're this completely new person, and they're completely out of their shell. And watching that so many times happen again and again, it's been one of the most biggest privileges I've ever had. I work with this young guy, who was on the spectrum, and didn't. This was when I was at Radio Falcha, and he didn't have much Irish to begin with, but he just wanted to be involved. He wanted to do something, and he came on board for a while and didn't speak to many people, all the other young ones, and he went away after, and I was like, I wish I could have worked with him a bit more. He didn't seem to really enjoy that. His family called me up and says he had an absolute ball. No, like he loved it, and he wants to come in again. And he came in, and I would have to sit and help him write the script out and help him record a few lines at a time each week, and it would, as I say, it would take weeks upon weeks just to put one episode together. But he was so motivated by what he was doing, and he ended up, 1 week I came in and I says, right, get started on this script here, we'll have a look at it. It started to be that he was writing them at home and I was just checking them, and then 1 week I was like, well, we'll have a look at this. He's going, no, it's sorted.
Lethal.
And
that's class.
And he goes in, and I would usually sit in the studio with him and help him, like, no, stop it and start it, and he just went, I'm good on my own.
Oh.
And then the next thing was he did need help editing it, and then he was just going, don't need to edit, just fire it out like that.
Class.
A
lot of job satisfaction, or even just satisfaction.
Just like,
it's amazing.
Just to see that, like, start to finish, just like so heartwarming.
It's unreal.
And you see wee mini ones of it, like obviously, like with everybody who's doing these, we've all sort of been in the public eye a wee bit before, so there's not as much of like a baseline, but it's still,
I don't know, Sean.
Like, but it's still,
even for me, it was very difficult starting this, very, very difficult. Even like, this is important too to share, I think, because are you setting yourself up? In some of the stuff that I'm talking about in terms of recovery and drink and like, obviously I'm good at managing me in terms of my recovery and what way things are going in my life, and in terms of recognizing my patterns of behaviour and stuff. But you take a drink and it's all gone. Do you know what I mean? I know that's a harsh way of looking at it, but
it's a gamble.
It's not a gamble, because I trust myself now, and I love myself, and I have respect for myself. But you're also putting yourself out there to not to fail, but there's a big fall if shit does hit the fan. And I can never say that it won't, but I'll never say that it will either. I'll never say that I'll never take a drink again. Do you know what I mean? But I'll never say I will. It's just very much that's just the process and the journey with no destination.
And when you're the guy who's like, this is how to do it, it leaves you.
Or this which works for me, not this is how you do it.
No,
this is, do you know what I mean?
Yes,
yeah.
But we're like, but I'm saying that's like when you're thinking negatively.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking like, I'm supposed to be an example.
Yeah.
When you feel like I can't, slip up.
Yeah.
Because people jump on that.
Yeah.
Be like, who are you to tell?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not the case.
It's not.
But that's what you'll tell yourself.
Probably the inner chimp would say that, and and I think that's why I love being so vulnerable, because whenever I even going into schools and going in and doing talks, and even on here too, like, I do be open and honest about, like, I still have shit days, and I think everyone has shit days, no matter how well they're getting on in terms of their career or doing this type of thing. Like, obviously I surround myself with a lot of people within the wellness industry now, just because we were all constantly, it's a wee bit like the comedy scene, it's a wee bit, do you know what I mean?
Everyone's helping each other out.
Wee bit, aye. So and I've had this conversation with nearly all of them, and it's like we all still have our bad days, like, and that's the beauty of it too, the very fact that we have now then. And everyone listening has some sort of toolbox that developed over the last year or whatever, maybe from listening to this, or maybe going to getting therapy, or speaking to different people, or going to meetings, and you start off with nothing, like, but the wee toolbox and the wee nuggets and everything that you're just constantly adding to it. So whenever we do have the shit day, we can go into the toolbox and be like, here, I've been through this before. How did I deal with it before? Right, this is bang. And so the days then become, it's just a day, or it's just an hour. Like, you can change it instead of being like Monday morning, depressed, shit, whatever, weekend, a few things happen. Then my whole week, I'll just, do you know what I mean? Whereas all that's sort of changed, and that's the beauty of it, by being vulnerable and open and honest. Like, but back to my point, like, I still be very, very, like, even whenever I'm going doing talks and stuff, I still be shaking myself, like, definitely. But back to the why, and I know there's one person there that needs it, and that's what keeps me going, like, and I think that's the class part of it, like. Would you do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, because there's who was it you were speaking to about when you feel like you're stepping out of a comfort zone, it should inspire you, because you know that you're progressing. And see, now it's like when I get comfortable with a certain level of gigs, or like, I don't feel any nerves. Like, it's like a day at work, you know, and you go up there and you know I'm gonna smash this, and like, I'm completely confident. But every now and again, like, I like feel a bit wobbly, going up, because I'm going, like, people are going to be looking and saying, you shouldn't be standing up there.
Yeah.
Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah. Wee bit of that, the imposter in you. The
imposter syndrome, you know, and when you do feel like that, it's often, like, I think, I do reflect on myself quite a bit. See, when I'm driving home in the car, I sit and think about how I was feeling, and like, and just assess, like, the situation, you know, and like, there's times where we've played no big venues, and I go to myself, I felt a bit weird there. Like, what was that? You know, and it's because I'm going, this is like a step up.
Yeah. Like,
people are watching me, and people are like taking in what I'm doing, you know. I feel nervous about that. And I have to live up to a certain expectation here. So it's put pressure on me. But that's a good thing.
Of course.
You know,
go ahead.
Did it go good? Yes.
Yeah.
So I probably won't feel as nervous next time. But then I say, I think that's class. You know, like, that's not a bad thing. It's not bad that you were nervous for that, or that.
No, nerves are good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's about calming those, and like, I don't know. It's actually good chasing that now.
So that's what I was going to say, which is, so I was listening to the thing Stephen Bartlett put up. He does the Diary CEO. And he was like, now, to be totally, like, imposter syndrome can mean a whole lot of different things in terms of, what we're talking about is sort of like surface level, as in we just feel uncomfortable. Obviously there's people there who genuinely feel like, you know, in a real bad way, 24/7, about constantly feeling like their self-worth's on the ground and stuff like that. So there's whole different scales of this. I'm very conscious and aware of that, but the stuff that we're talking about and the stuff that I have conversations with people in here regularly is, and this is a good way to actually approach it. So by being that imposter in the room, then you're surrounding yourself with people who are probably doing a wee bit better than you in terms of their career. So by us stepping into that and spending time with them, it can only be good. He was actually referring to the fact that he's on Dragon's Den now. So he's like, right, so I'm sitting there, I looked to my left and it's Deborah Meaden, I looked to my right and it's call your man. Whatever, your man, my head's went blank. But what he's saying is, by me being there, it like just shows you where I'm at. So that's okay to feel like I'm an imposter. Yeah. Because it's actually development. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? By you going into them bigger fucking gigs and bigger arenas, it's development. It's where you're at. That's fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sort of trying to take that and be like, right, okay, this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Unreal. So what's next? So he's like, he craves being an imposter because he knows he's moving in the right direction now.
Yeah.
Out of his comfort zone. And I think we've both spent a lot of times out of our comfort zone, like, and it's made us grow.
Happens quite a bit as a young, like, person in business too.
And to be fair, we probably would be young in business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was especially the case when I was like 18, 19, going and trying to do sound in bars for people, and like I had awful jobs, like, you know,
same.
in terms of like when I turn up, like, the band's probably going, Jesus Christ,
Who's this idiot?
who's this kid? And then the bar staff, something goes wrong, it's immediately, oh, what's he had? No, like, it's not whether, like, what happened there, or like, why is that? It's like, you know, it's obviously been the kid's fault, you know, and like and just not much is expected of you, and like, you're sort of put down. So like, you even think to yourself, like, I mustn't be no good at this, you know. And that's really tough to get over. And like, see, even turning up for studio sessions, like, when I go into a recording studio to record my own band, like, you do expect someone a bit older. I mean, if I was going in, there was like somebody in their early 20s, like I was, you're going, what am I paying for here?
Which is your problem, really? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way we are. The world is, maybe, or do you know, how we look
and it's
at things.
not right, but like, but there's just that sort of misconception, you know, that there must be a lot of experience there. But like, so when I was in those situations, you just always think to yourself, like, am I up to the task here? Like, but coming through that and like, meeting somebody's expectations or passing somebody's expectations, like, you know, you only feel shit for that small bit of time that you're in that moment. See the value of being in that stressful situation where nobody thinks you're going to do the right thing. The value of being in that situation is massive, because for the whole rest of your career, like, you'll never feel like
back to the toolbox.
You know, it's just, so it's just about always thinking back to that, and like, that you've came through, you know, people's, you know, perception of you, and you've proved people wrong. You've like proved yourself right.
And the self-worth then.
Yeah.
And you're saying there about the confidence in what you do, and you actually believe in your own ability, and I probably the same now. Actually believed it was one of my 90-day goals. So every 90 days I've set new goals, and so when did it run out? 31st of December there, and it was to believe that I'm actually making an impact in people's lives, because I was sort of wishy-washy about it, but now I actually fully believe. Do you know what I mean? And that's just, now there's loads of different goals and stuff, but it's interesting. Like,
do you ever think about traits that you don't like about yourself?
Yeah.
And what are things that you don't like about yourself or your personality?
So probably my biggest trait is my ability to be so self-aware. I've worked a lot on my patterns of behaviour. What I do in certain situations due to trauma as a child, and it's like, probably the biggest thing is, and it's hard to talk about, is probably relationships.
Yeah.
I find it hard trusting people. Now, I think whenever you become aware of that, then you can take action and make a choice to change it. So it's got a lot better within the last 3-4 years, but I never would have let anyone in. in terms of telling them what actually was really going on. So what I used to do was like, and this is hard, like what I used to do, especially like, so we'll talk about even in relationships with girls. So I never really wanted them as to fully. Now I haven't had that many girlfriends, but the girlfriends that I did have, I wasn't nice. I wasn't a nice person. And I'm not blaming the trauma on it, but it had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of, obviously I done certain things, and it was me that done it, nobody else. It wasn't me addiction. I don't really like that saying of it's not me, it's me addiction. It's still part of you at that time. So take full responsibility. But just to put in the context, I would have been like, so had a relationship with a girl, had a connection, whatever, everything was going well. And then because of like, say, I can't beat around the bush. So because of the abuse, it's like sometimes things just don't work, if that makes sense. So then I would be like, try and get out the gap as quick as possible in terms of the relationship, in terms of them as actually really knowing what was going on with me, in terms of what happened to me. So it's like, I'm sure you're glad you asked this question.
No, like really glad to hear.
Yeah, so it's almost like
You deliberately push them away.
By doing something stupid, so cheating on them, or starting a big fight, or whatever, or the girls end up turning around and being like, well, is this me because of what's going on here? And then like, oh, you just don't understand. But on reflection, I probably should have sat down and been like, right, this is what's actually happened to me, this is the way things are, this is what I do. And then what I would do then, Sean, would be, what I did then was, the manipulation then came in it, and it sort of would have made them feel like they done something wrong. So, and I went on the rip for fucking weeks, and then on the drink and the coke, and just to try and deal with it and escape it, because I'm sitting going, like, I'm fucking 18 years of age and 19 and 20, and I'm in this place where, like, I have a lovely people around me. Like, I had a lovely girlfriend at that time. I had a girlfriend when I was probably like 14 to 17, and then 18 to 20 or something, and then whatever. And it was a lot of that. So it was like there was like a cycle of that always going on. Then you come back in, and then we're close, and then we're getting somewhere again. It was like boom, out the gap by doing something stupid. And listen, like I obviously do have a lot of regrets in that part of my life, but I think that I'm owning it now by, you know, even at the minute, like taking a step out of what I would see as relationships, like, and focusing on the relationship with me, is something that I've been doing in the last over maybe about 6 months, 7 months, like really, really digging into me and being like, right, why do you be like this? Why, whenever something bad happens, do you then maybe, I call it the submarine.
You see.
So I and I go missing for a couple of days, because due to the trauma, the only person that I ever trusted
Was yourself.
Was me to get myself out of such shit situations.
Yeah.
So my self-awareness in terms of all that is like, Jesus. But it makes sense, because obviously I'm not blaming what happened, but sometimes you just have to accept it. And I always talk about becoming a product of your environment. And sometimes you just have to accept that, you know what, these things did happen to me. These are the cards that were dealt. But now I'm aware of the reasons why I've done what I've done in the past, leaves me with a choice to fix what's going to happen in the future. But that can't happen if, well, it couldn't have happened. Maybe now it's a lot different in terms of, I'm not saying I'm ready to be in a relationship, but my mind's not close to it, because I've done all that work within myself, like, and it was tough doing all that, like, because you're talking about things and you're resurfacing things, and then there's a lot of like somatic healing, which basically means like, so if something bad happened to me, it's very hard because we're talking about it on a podcast and there's obviously like sexual references and stuff, so I'm trying to like put it in this simplistic terms. But if something happened, as in like a noise or something, and I shut, so so basically whenever something bad happens to you, like your stomach and you get crawled up, and then your brain just tells yourself to shut down. So that's basically what somatic healing is. It's like I get the feeling in my stomach, and it probably will never go away because that's what PTSD is or whatever. Well, hopefully through the work that it might go away, but sometimes you just have to accept that that's okay too, that it mightn't. But it's stopping that signal from your stomach or your gut going from your brain to say stop, and to fucking go submarine. So now it's like stomach, get it, go away. Not that I meant.
Yeah.
I'm carrying on with what's going on. So that's that's something that I have found very hard to accept. Like I've accepted from being an alcoholic, I've accepted being a cocaine addict, I've accepted that I'm not the full shell. But that part is hard, especially whenever we're young males and having this conversation is quite difficult. But I know for a fact that there's people watching here who are in similar situations, and I got out of it as in the hard way, and I always think prevention is a lot better than a cure. So I had to go and fucking go to rehab and do all these things and stuff, whereas people on the other side of it maybe sort of sitting on the fence and they could go one way, but but hopefully by me sharing that and being vulnerable and putting my cards on the table, they may turn around and be like, I need to go and work on myself now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's my why too. Like, but that's
probably the reason that you've never had that is because it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, and it's like it's an area that sort of, as young men, like we don't like sort of leaders in our life sort of look away from it because they don't want to have to deal with it because it is so uncomfortable. Talk about those things, but it's definitely something, you know, we need to work with young men more about.
Yeah.
And it's another reason why I really enjoy doing youth work.
Yeah.
And like I'm seeing behaviours in young people that like that I would have done, and hearing language from young people, and whether it's about women, whether it's about different types of people from other backgrounds, people from different communities, and I'm realizing that like these young people haven't been spoke to, they haven't been told, like,
or no one's listened to them.
Yeah, like, and having like having a young person come up and tell you that like that they trust you, and telling you that something's happened to them is so uncomfortable. But like it's important just that you realize that like being a leader, that these young people, it puts you in a position of real responsibility, and having conversations, making them, listening to them, like realizing that what you do for a job, like as a teacher, as a football coach, as a youth worker, goes way beyond being a job,
way beyond the label.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
because like being a podcaster, like
is that what you would call me now?
I don't know.
We called it that worse, Sean, so I'll take it.
Like here, like we're not in the labels here, but
fact. I'll never do labels ever.
So, yeah, it's just important to acknowledge that like having conversations is so much more important than just having a conversation.
Yeah,
like
absolutely, because you've no idea what that person is going through. Even this difficult, but there's someone at the other end of that probably needed that night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's tough, It is. It's very, very tough, but it's important. You're right. It's so important. And what we are as people, it's like there's always someone looking up to you somewhere. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the jobs that we're in, and it's showing people that you don't need to be on the street, or you don't need to be sniffing your life away or drinking flat out to escape what's actually going on in your life. You can be open and honest, and that's, I suppose, why we're creating this wee community, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's class. But here, I'll do this minute.
Yeah.
You're a legend. Thanks very much, mate. And thanks for everything, Sean. You've been class for me, and it's class to be able to now say, and you said it there, to be able to call you a friend, and I think that's really nice too. So yes, Sean will throw the link up. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. If you're affected or anything by what we just spoke about at the end, there's plenty of services that are available. Drop me a message and I can point you in the right direction, and absolutely no problem at all. So yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, this is our first week of the Patreon, so there'll be an episode out with Annette Kelly from Little Penny Thoughts for our first Patreon guest. We'll get a good catch up with her. And yes, so you can link. Don't be worrying if you've only £1, you can pay £1. If you've £100, pay £100. But whatever, if you want to buy me a coffee, £3's plenty. So I'm happy enough for that. Happy with anything, and I hope you are getting stuff out of it. And yeah, keep coming back, keep talking, keep the conversation going.